Welcome back, YouTube, to another live stream. Going to do my cooking real quick, tend to my farms, and gonna tag a sage, and then we will get to another hour at Highlands. So should be having some fun. Maybe this next hour that I do, I will survive and not die once, but we shall see. All right, let me see here. I'm gonna tag my Succession Sage. I need to repair my gear real quick. Item copy. Oh, I need to repair my Vel's heart. Well, that's a shame. Okay. Let me do that real quick. I need destruction, spirit stone. Guess it really doesn't matter. Let's see. Maybe we'll do like 10 of those. Oh, I guess you can only do a max of 5, huh? Freaking hate this cord. Hate it. What the heck? Whoa. What's going on? Well, this is very delayed, isn't it? Any day. Dang, this sales for 42 million? Huh. It's kind of surprising. All right, let's see here. Whew. Start this podcast back up. Oh, wait, before I do that, though, I need to make sure. Hold on, give me a second here. Still. All right. Let's try to repair this here. How many do I need? 198. You gotta be kidding me. So close. So close, but so far away. All right, crush these down here real quick. Wow, really?
Comparatively. And usually it's not very good.
Hmm.
Like usually they're very lackluster. Usually they have very little content or very little content avenues. As I just said, maybe some games like Blue Protocol don't even have PvP in the first place and don't
Hmm.
even bother with it. They kind of have a little bit of even a smaller twist to open world, even that there's like these little loading zones. It's not
Segments, yeah.
really, yeah, and it's like it's kind of just feels like overall a lot of these approaches have regressed and kind of pushed more into very niche appeals
Hmm.
instead of having like this overall world feeling.
I feel yeah. No, I get you. Um, that's one of the things I liked about Vanilla Arcade. I mean, we can get into
Yep,
Vanilla Arcade
true.
at another time. That is on
Arcade
the
was so
episode
good.
list. But that was an
Yeah,
actual
I do like
world. They had
Arcade.
teleports and whatnot, but they had an actual world. What do you think? What do you know what do
And
you
actually
think? Actually, let
enjoyed
me ask you.
Arcade's
What do you
combat.
think about a remastered WoW Classic?
I mean, okay, so we have Season of Discovery right now, right?
I'm talking
Which
like
is
graphically though.
yeah. So for me,
Yeah.
I think um that's one of the easiest way to make giga money for Blizzard, and they just
Hmm.
don't understand like the first thing about making games anymore, which is not surprising. But
Hmm.
I think it would be amazing, like having something like a RuneScape, old school RuneScape approach, and
Mm-hmm.
also updating the game to look more appealing
Mm-hmm.
for a modern audience. So, combining updated, maybe even engine and graphic settings, maybe also with better netcode and whatever, with the old version of the game and then updating the old version
Mm.
to have like the similar old school feel, I think would be insane. But there's
Right.
no way they're gonna do that because they're already
Nope.
making Season of Discovery, which is basically just the gimmick version of that, where they just have, oh, we have some abilities that we found from other expansions. We just sprinkle it into the old game. Here you go, done.
Are
And
your
here's a new raid, by the way.
are your headphones being put together by tape?
Yes.
Oh my
Somebody,
gosh.
listen, if you're watching this
No,
video,
Someone.
it's actually a separate microphone because the normal headset microphone is
oh,
trash. So I bought
Oh
a
my.
separate microphone and that doesn't fit into the
He
plug
taped
thing.
a
So I just
oh,
second
taped
he
it to it.
taped it.
microphone to it. Oh
Yep.
my gosh, dude.
Listen, chat. For those of you who are watching on
Oh my
YouTube,
gosh.
if you are representing a company, I think Nico Tulo is accepting microphone sponsorships.
Oh my
Okay, I think
gosh.
Elgato's
Only
got some good
ones that
ones.
aren't these
That's
fucking massive
hilarious,
ass
dude.
arms though, because that annoys the ever living shit out of me. So I need something that is like
Like
on
I
the
would
its
corners.
arms.
love
Oh, like you need to
Yeah.
have really. Okay,
I would love to
okay.
have a microphone arm just
Yep.
right
Interesting.
beside my
Okay,
bed.
okay.
My
All
wife
right.
would
Well,
kill me.
listen, we're already like
She would
15,
literally
20
kill me.
minutes into this. This is how fast, excuse me, how fast, excuse me, sorry, how fast time goes when we're doing these podcasts. So let's just start jumping into the next category here, because even that category, the general state of MMOs, man, we could literally talk about that all day, like literally all day. So um let's jump into the upcoming MMOs, because that's the next category that I do want to talk about today.
Upcoming
I
MMOs.
know Ashes of Creation is not coming out, but Alpha 2 is. And I think Ashes has such a huge following, and it has such high expectations from a large group of people, where Alpha 2 comes slated to come out quarter 3, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Quarter 3 this year is kind of being treated like a soft release, right? What do you think about Ashes?
So good timing because I was kind of maybe considering also making a video about this.
Mm,
But in general, well, I've contemplated making something about it because it's always not sit very well with me, the game in its entirety. Although I think they're, in theory, on paper, things that they have are very interesting. So the node system and the way you augment your classes, and there's like combination of classes, a little bit like Arcade, and
mm-hmm.
all of those things are actually super cool in my opinion.
Yeah.
But what they've shown is like a fraction of what they're trying to do. And by a fraction, I mean not like, oh, they're like half the way there, maybe another 2 years there. I mean like they're maybe 5-10% the way they're what they're trying to do. And
What
that
do
I
you mean
think
by
is the
that?
biggest problem.
What,
So
what do you mean by that?
so what, for example, I don't know if you've seen the recent showcase where
Mm-hmm.
they talked about a
Caravan,
little bit. Now there was
not the other one. Okay.
so there's another new one, but the
Yeah, yeah,
Caravan is
yeah. I've
also a
not
good
seen it.
example, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. I didn't see the latest
Well,
one. Yeah.
let's take the Caravan then. And
Okay.
the Caravan example was like this little bit of a PvP showcase, risk versus reward kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
where
Wait,
they have a
where'd my
caravan
horsey
with
go?
trade goods, and one guild tries to transport it, and the other one tries to attack it,
Oh,
right?
there it is.
So even in that, you could already tell very quickly that, first of all, they had their little theater play. That's always what they do, obviously, because they're trying to showcase something and it's not really properly pre-recorded, so they
Mm-hmm.
kind of just wing it. But they have like a concept, obviously, before they record it. So
Mm-hmm.
they have this setup. Oh, this caravan is going through this pathway and we are ambushing them. No
Sure.
one expected this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're going to be in stealth, and then we count down from 3, and then we're going to ambush them and
Mm-hmm.
steal everything. And that they did that. And then there's these little trade goods and how you acquire them. It's all like makes sense. But in an actual real scenario, none of those things work together at all, or like that's not a realistic way to approach this at all. Because first of all, the caravan is by like a guild of 30 people. that's probably not even profitable at all. So in a real scenario, you will probably have a lot of caravans with a lot more people,
That's
like
a
you
good
know from
point.
Throne.
Sure.
With a lot of like in Throne, it's
Mhm.
also kind of like that where zerging becomes very profitable because
Right.
there's no restrictions to it.
Mhm.
So if there is a risk involved, you obviously don't want to risk losing your stuff. So you will make sure that you don't. But then at the same time, if it's not profitable enough, can you even get enough people? Will there not just be other guilds scouting for this kind of stuff to happen? Because these
Mhm.
caravans are like incredibly slow. There will be people just waiting in front of towns for arriving caravans and just ambush them right there to just collect the loot immediately. Like there's so many systems that surround this that they don't even mention. And
Mm.
the new showcase
Okay.
has one more interesting part, which a lot of
Oh,
these
crazy.
events, the node upgrading, seems to be a console command or something that isn't actually completely tied to the game yet.
Mhm.
So it just feels like, oh, we're showing you how this might work in the future, but they don't have an existing product that they can showcase. They kind of just have these theater plays, I
Sure.
call them.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I would say to that is number one, to be fair, they are showcasing content and systems in the game. So realistically, I don't know if it would be possible for them to really show multiple scenarios and all of like the intricate details to it. I mean, we're obviously going to find out relatively soon in the alpha test, right? But to rebuttal your first comment in regards to like the situations and the depth of like the caravan, in regards to like the situations that and the reality of what it's going to actually be like in live. Um, did you play Arcade, original Arcade?
And no, only
Okay,
Unchained,
okay.
but I heard a lot of things.
Sure. I think you would have liked it, but I think it's going to be in line with vanilla Arcade. But that also really depends on the design of the world and the design of the caravan systems. And what I mean by that is like just like turn in spots and how you go about turning in. Because in Arcade, you absolutely did have situations where you had mass guilds going in, trying to turn into the most profitable area, but you also had small groups. You also had solo players doing like solo pack runs. So like for me, right? The way it would work is like if I wanted to do a pack run, I can turn in a single pack on my back in a safe zone, uncontested, guaranteed, bam, 20 gold. I could upgrade that by purchasing and investing in like a farm cart that would allow me to transport 3 packs at a time. I can upgrade that to a hauler that would allow me to transport 5 packs at a time, and then so on and so forth.
I still need to do
And then of
my
course,
farm
you'd
and
have
my
people
cooking
that were
real
running
quick.
alts on alt machines and virtual machines that were fucking running all these packs, all that stuff, right? But you had safe zones, and then you also had like PvP zones. In the PvP zones were areas where you would have people that were kind of contest that because they were more profitable, the packs that coming in. But those were also less. There was less traffic in those areas, right? So, and honestly, it was a pretty good system. But to your defense, yeah, I can see it being problematic, but I think it's just a design thing, which
So like
yeah.
even if let's say the system works out well and they actually have a functioning system,
Yeah,
which I don't think they have yet.
sure.
Let's assume it works. I think there's a big reason why people also disliked Arcade for exactly that too, right? Because a lot of people had like this thing planned out and they're fishing out in the ocean, and then they come
Mm-hmm.
back and they want to get their reward, and there's a bunch of red players or whatever you call them in
Mm-hmm.
Arcade who just obliterate them and steal everything, right? And I think for a lot of people that would
Yeah,
probably be a point where like, yeah, I think I'm good.
sure.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
not
no,
play
you're
anymore.
okay. So yes and no. You're right when it comes to like every other MMO. But with Arcade, that was actually a huge selling point. I don't remember there being, I think the vast, overwhelming majority never had an issue with it,
It's actually a pretty
with
good deal.
Arcade. And I think one of the reasons why was because,
80
again,
days.
design, how they went about it. You could absolutely turn in to safe zone areas where you
Dang,
weren't
that's
going to be
actually a really good
contested.
deal.
And there were plenty of those options, and those were still very profitable. you could go that extra mile to risk it. You could go fishing out in the open
Also
in the
80
danger
days too,
zone.
huh?
It's going to be more it's going to be more rewarding, but you also want to go out there with some
That's so ridiculous. I wish these were all
you
just
also want to
freaking
go out there with a
combined.
bigger group,
Money
and you
hungry
also
people.
should be upgrading your boat so that you can
So
maneuver
annoying.
around faster. And also, for example, if you wanted to pirate, right? And I know I'm using a very specific example, but this kind of goes to what I'm saying. Design is important. If we're talking about fishing, which you could pirate, the best boat that you could use to pirate, to like be the bad guys and steal fishes, was a galleon. A galleon, which is this type of ship, a galleon was designed to go very fast north south. So you were not going to outrun a
It's kind of
galleon
cool.
if you're heading north south, but you could escape it if you're on a merchant ship, for example, and you're going east west. I'm pretty sure I got that right.
Ooh, I
I
like
played
that
a lot
one.
of hours,
That's
but
pretty
it's been
cool.
a long time. But it was like east west, you can outrun it. So like the position of where you would go fishing relative to your turn-in spots were also pretty important. And there were like all these other variables, you know, that you could use. And you know what? It made it so that even if a big group came in, you could escape. You know what I mean? Like it
That's
wasn't
kind of cool.
fucking Jover. Like in Throne, you come
Kind
across
of like
our
the little
whoops, you come across our alliance,
Joker
it's
character.
over. You know, like the content is done.
What does that
But
say?
But do you think
yeah,
they also exist in Ashes like that? Like, do you
I
think
don't
In
they?
know. You're right. That's why I'm in agreement with
on
you saying that you haven't
10.6?
seen enough, and you're right in being skeptical with it. But I would disagree that it can't be done well, because it was done very well in Arcage.
I really
And
like
as
that.
far as I know, Steven, the guy that's running Ashes, he played on my server, Kyrios, in Arcage. He was notorious, by the way. He's all, which is like a lot of the OG Arcage people are kind of skeptical because homie was like fucking RMT pay to win whale.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, but I don't know. Maybe that puts it. I have no idea how it's gonna work. But so far, what he's like, the way he's been going about Ashes has been pretty solid. But yeah, I know that he's got that background in Arcage, and I'm not surprised to see that Ashes is very reminiscent of vanilla Arcage. But that would be my only point of contest to what you're saying. But I 100% agree with you in being skeptical, and it does depend on the design.
I mean, I completely agree with this open world risk versus reward stuff. It's actually something that I would love to see much more in games. I actually think the average world of an MMO is way too easy and way too safe.
Boring.
So like if you go
Yeah.
out of a town and there's like a fucking camp of goblins or something, you shouldn't be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna run them over real quick and that's it, and then I go back to town. I do enjoy this the theme that they're trying to go for.
Sure.
But my point is kind of that I don't know if they understand the intricacies of what they're trying to make, and I also don't think that they even have anything in place yet that would allow for those intricacies. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like really, if you're gonna argue that point, it's just the benefit of the doubt thing. We're gonna find out quarter 3.
Yep.
And I'll be honest, I feel like I'm not really combating you much on this one, just because I also look at Ashes and I'm just not sure. It's a big question mark for me. And what I mean, guys, is I mean in terms of actual content and design.
I think no, I think they'll pull it off.
Combat, by the way,
The combat for me, the combat for me is what I'm not sure about.
But what do you think about the combat? To me, the combat looked mid at best.
So I think combat is. I mean, imagine this. Okay, imagine a BDO or a Lost Ark with Ashes of Creation combat. Do you think those games would be successful?
Oh wait,
BDO, absolutely
BDO.
not. What was the other one you said?
Lost Ark.
Of course not. Yeah,
You talking about taking Ashes of Creation's combat and put it into
kind of
BDO?
what I'm thinking about
No.
when I see combat like that.
But if you put
because
BDO's combat in
maybe the
Ashes of
game
Creation,
could be
that would
like,
be
could have
awesome.
some cool stuff in it.
Sure.
Maybe there's some cool content, maybe cool dungeons or open world or PvP. But if the combat doesn't act like as a catalyst of those systems, often
You gotta have a good combat. You gotta have a good combat.
Combat is extremely important.
So
I think
important.
everyone is in agreement
Number
that
one.
combat has to be good, but it doesn't have to be action combat. You know, it doesn't have to be at the standard of BDO. WoW Classic, which is something I want to talk to you about when we get to the throne segment. But, you know, WoW Classic is tab targeting, very old school classic tab targeting. Guild Wars 2, also another tab targeting, a little bit more hybrid. And those games are totally fine.
I mean, are they totally fine nowadays because they're good, or the combat is good enough, or are they totally fine because they're riding coattails?
What do you mean?
Because I don't think if you release like a classic WoW or a Final Fantasy today in 2024, and there's no existing established audience of those, would they be even nearly as successful? Would they create an impact like that?
If it was re-released today?
Yeah. Like without the pre-established, oh, we love
background.
WoW, we love Blizzard games, all
Yeah.
this stuff. Like if it's just a new thing, right?
No.
I don't think
Nope.
those
I
games
don't
would
think would
have
either. I
even
agree.
like a fraction of the impact.
I don't think they would be determined though. And this is not, I'm not deflecting this, but I don't think they would be strictly determined based off of their combat though.
Of course not. I think there's more to a game than just the combat, but I think it's important because it's such a key part of your.
It's very important.
Moment to moment gameplay, right? It's such. It's all the time. You basically do it every time you log into the game. You do combat, unless you're maybe doing professions.
0 out of 10. What would you rate the combat that you've seen in Ashes? I mean, throwing numbers out.
It's hard to say if you don't play it myself. But because there's always like small little things that make it feel much worse or better, like small little animation canceling or end of the animation like lag things. There's a lot of things that could make it feel even worse. But for 2024 combat, not higher than a 5. Maybe a 4.
Okay.
I would guess.
Okay. I would honestly give it a 5. But with an asterisk. I think to truly understand the PvP, I think you have to actually experience it, because there could be some higher level mechanics that we don't know about, you know, that, you know, it key inputs or something. But based off of what I've seen, I would give it a 5 at best. Like I'd have to be, I'd be generous, very generous to give it a 5.
I mean, I think again, actually playing it might even be worse. So like even a 4 might be generous. we would have to try it ourselves.
True. Are you playing in the are you playing the Alpha 2 beta test? Are you set up for that?
I did not pay for that. No, I refused. Really? I was thinking about it. More so than more for the content creator side of things, right?
Of course.
To say, oh, this game again like a complete disaster, or maybe it's amazing and I was wrong or whatever, right? But then I decided that like $250 to play test something that they should pay me for is fucking insane.
Yeah.
Okay, like so I said, nah, I'm not.
$250. Good gosh.
Obviously, sure. But I said no.
Okay.
$250 just to play the Alpha 2? That's nuts.
Let's talk about Throne. Your favorite game.
Your favorite game?
We should have some interesting conversations here.
Favorite game? Get out of here.
Liberty. Talk to me about Throne. What was your final rating of Throne? Because I heard it was changing a little bit, like 1 point or 2 points here and there.
So at first, but when the auto combat was in, it was a 0. I thought it was the worst MMO I've ever played. Then they changed the auto combat. Although I also said beforehand that even if they changed so even if they changed the combat, that it might not really fix the game a whole lot, because everything's kind of designed around it. But they did fix the combat to an extent. And then I said it was like a 2, but that was obviously only from the perspective of a very early game. And as you know, early game in that game doesn't really matter at all. And for the most part, it's about the end game dungeons, the castles, sieges stuff, the guild versus guild drama, and like relationships and whatever.
Shit, the drama. Oh my god.
So I put it up like 1 more point because of that. So because I thought, that's a fair point. That's 3. I put it at a 3.
You put it at a 3. Okay.
That's my prediction, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. So what are the main issues that you had with Throne and Liberty, the live version, the actual live version?
So first of all, still hate the combat, even more so than any like tradition. Maybe not RuneScape because I didn't play it,
Yeah.
but I even hated it more than WoW, even classic WoW combat.
Really? Why
Yeah,
is
because
that? Because why is that? Because as far as I know, and I want to be fair to you, because I don't want to put any type of preconceived notion, or I don't want to like I don't want the audience to just be influenced by what I heard. But like as far as I know, you reached a certain level in the game that that had you experience, you know, a certain amount of the combat, but in this at the same time, the actual live version.
So, first of all, still hate the combat. But yeah, that's a fair point. That yeah, that's 3. I put it.
I think I
But they did
missed what he
fix the
just
combat
said.
to an extent, and then I said it was like a 2, but that was obviously only from the perspective of very early game, and as you know, early game in that game doesn't really matter at all, and for the most part, it's about the end game dungeons, the castles, sieges stuff, the guild versus guild drama, and like relationships and whatever.
Shit, the drama. Oh my
So
gosh.
I put it up like 1 more point because of that.
Okay.
Because I thought, yeah, that's a fair point. That yeah, that's 3. I put it at a 3.
You put it at a 3. Okay.
That's my prediction, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. So what are the main issues that you had with Throne and Liberty, the live version, the actual live version?
So, first of all, still hate the combat, even more so than any like tradition. Maybe not RuneScape.
Oh,
Because I didn't play
okay.
it,
Yeah.
but I even hated it more than WoW.
He's just saying that
classic
he
WoW
doesn't like
combat.
combat of
Why
Yeah,
is
because
that? Because
Throne and Liberty.
why is that? Because as far as I know, and I want to be fair to you, because I don't want to put any type of preconceived notion, or I don't want to like I don't want the audience to just be influenced by what I heard. But like as far as I know, you reached a certain level in the game that that had you experience, you know, a certain amount of the combat, but in this at the same time, you're saying that classic WoW is like one of the best MMOs, right? And there's no
I mean,
way
classic,
you can,
classic WoW combat was really, really good. Yeah, classic WoW combat was really, really good in 2004.
Okay.
Okay, nowadays, classic WoW combat is still satisfying and can be fun, but it's nowhere near good.
Okay,
right?
So, okay. So let me ask you this then: where would you put classic WoW as an MMO today?
Just combat or overall?
Both.
Okay. So just first of all, maybe we should say like what the Throne Liberty combat system is. It's probably a 2.
Okay.
I would say.
So it's
probably
a 2 for you. Okay. So what would classic WoW be today?
Classic WoW
combat wise.
It's not much higher. I would say maybe a 3 to 4 ish, but also probably more leaning towards a 3.5 ish. I would say.
Okay. So that's not as bad. Okay, because my thought process, what I heard was like, you know, and this is why it's important to confront this and talk to yeah. It's important to actually talk about this to the person directly, because things could be taken out of context. Because what I was thinking, or what I heard, was like you saying, you know, the combat rating for WoW Classic would be much higher, and I was like, really? Because it's really not that much different, the combat wise.
I mean, obviously, one thing that definitely is a little bit disingenuous, because I play with 200 ping. That definitely made it worse, right?
Sure.
And it made it harder to judge how bad it really is.
Of course.
But overall, I thought WoW felt a little more impactful. Like every hit, every ability felt more impactful. Also, Classic WoW has way more abilities, first of all. So you have a little bit more options. Like even on a single class, if you just play one, you have like what? 30 different abilities, although you probably don't even use half of them. But they have like these flavor RPG abilities. Oh, I can walk across water, or I can, because I'm this class, or I can teleport with that class, or I can make food with that class, or something like that, right? So in that way, I felt WoW had a little more flavor and a little more impact. But everything outside of that is probably very similar.
Okay. So in my personal opinion, with all due respect, I feel like where you missed the mark with Throne and Liberty's combat was that and I learned this by playing the game a lot, right? I played it a lot more extensively. I played it it's kind of crazy. When I went back to count the amount, I actually played it for a quarter of the year, Nico. I was like,
Quarter of
holy
the
Shit,
year?
that's
shit, I
crazy.
spent
Jeez.
a quarter of the year. And people are like, done with Throne and Liberty already? I was like, bro, I played it for a quarter of the year on a foreign server. Okay, so
Pretty impressive.
the way the combat is designed in Throne, and this is why I give the example of it being more of a classic MMO, is that, and this is a big appeal to the overall game, by the way, is that your character, it might be the biggest appeal to the game, your character is always evolving. And as it evolves, the combat continues to get better and better and better. So yes, if you're playing Sword and Shield, for example, at level 1, it's really bad. Like one of the worst. And I always give the example of Classic WoW Warrior because that is the class that I played in Classic WoW. And it's fucking bad. Like there's no way you can tell me that Throne and Liberty's combat is bad and then in the same breath say Classic WoW Warrior is great. You just can't say that. And if you're comparing end game Classic WoW Warrior, where it really picks up and it starts becoming fun, then you also have to compare Throne's combat at the end game, where it also
All
really
right.
picks up.
Let's go and
Because
start
I could
this.
assure you, Sword and Shield, I could assure you, Greatsword, all those weapons, what it becomes at the end game is drastically different because it what it is the first 10 levels versus level 50, very different. What it is at 50 and then going into the end game, let's say stage 1 end game, different. Let's say stage 2 end game, more different. Stage 3, and to be honest, I really think that is the biggest appeal to the game after experiencing it. So like for me, right, I was playing Greatsword Dagger, and it was like whatever. It was slow in the beginning, mana issues. All classes outside the staff have the mana issue, and you're just like, it's not amazing. The damage is smudge, but then you have options to how you want to build it, and then as you go up, it's like all of a sudden,
Crap.
holy shit, I'm getting these extra abilities. I'm getting the guillotine
Come on,
ability.
bro.
I'm getting different options with gear sets. This gear set is giving me the option to be a little bit more elusive. This is giving me a little bit more
Oh my
hard-hitting
gosh.
heavy hit, which is essentially like
I'm
doubling your
terrible.
damage on hit.
I'm terrible.
I could play a little bit more evasive tanky. I can go full
Where's my horse
DPS.
at?
And then also the speed picks up, right? Because the classic part of it is your stats that you get really start to accumulate. So now all of a sudden, my
Okay.
abilities are executing significantly.
Let's try that
faster.
again.
They're connecting quicker because you know how it feels
Jeez.
clunky and a little disconnected in the beginning. You lose that as you progress. And sure, you can make the argument saying, well, you're kind of stripped and deprived, and then you're getting that what's stripped back slowly. But to be honest, that is kind of the appeal. Like my Greatsword Dagger character now is so much different compared to level 50 and compared to level 10. And to be honest, if I continue to play it, I would continue to evolve the character. And I wholeheartedly believe that is one of the biggest appeals to Throne. So like for me, as someone that's experienced the evolution of the combat from early game to end game, I actually think that the combat is really good. Not like to the extent of BDO. Let's be real here. BDO, BNS, Lost Ark, these games are kind of goated in their respective categories. But I honestly think that the combat is right up there with vanilla Arcade and even almost to the level of Ion. I think Ion's combat is a little bit better, but I think it's close. I think it's in that category, personally.
I mean,
what?
Okay, let's assume it's as good as Arcade. Even that wouldn't be good, right? Even that nowadays would be an outdated.
Right. Get out of here, dude.
You have to preface that.
My gosh,
every
man.
time with nowadays, because like I would watch these clips of you too. I'd be like, what? Nico saying classic WoW combat is good. You know what I'm saying? But no, okay, yeah. So yes, you're yeah.
And I think one thing that
Oh
made
my
it
gosh,
feel a lot
dude.
cheaper, in my opinion, was also it's a setting. You can disable it, I think. But if you click a melee ability and you're too far away, your character automatically walks there anyways. That's one thing that maybe is kind of a remnant of the autoplay or whatever, but that made it feel a lot cheaper, like immediately.
Isn't that in WoW though? Don't you have that in WoW
No.
too?
You
A
know,
lot of the
if you
old
click,
school MMOs had that, but yeah, I mean that was like how
yeah, yeah,
all yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's probably one thing. And again, it's hard for me to really say
Is
how
this
like
leg ever
it
gonna
is on
die?
high level and how it is with zero ping or whatever. But it just felt a little
Jeez,
bit
dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
clunky.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
you on that. That to be honest, as someone that has played the game quite a bit, it kind of it, to be honest, if anything, it's kind of useful, but you don't really feel it later on as much, and you can also disable it. But that's, I
You know,
mean,
I always
being
forget that I
able
have
to
V.
turn something off. I've
Oh
never
yeah,
really
yeah.
been a big fan of that argument, but yeah, it's actually kind of useful. But I digress
Yeah,
because
it's useful for sure.
yeah. Um, let's move on here. And for those of you who are wondering, yes, we could sit here and talk about Throne the entire podcast, which is
Yeah.
why moving forward, where each episode we are going to be talking about a game individually, so we can have the whole segment. Today it's episode 1, general MMO talk, and we're just talking about upcoming MMOs and just getting like a very short perspective on each one, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. Blue Protocol. Blue Protocol is the other MMO that's coming out this year. Um, did you play Blue Pro? I don't know if you actually did. Did you?
Yeah,
You
on
did
JP. Yeah.
on JP. How far did you get into it before you got banned? You got banned, right?
Oh, yeah, I got banned. I don't. What was the max level? 50, I think.
50 at the time.
Yeah, I was around. I think I was around level 30,
Okay.
something like that, before I got banned. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think?
I like the combat more than Throne and Liberty.
Okay.
They had although you had way less abilities, and you had very
Right.
few abilities. It felt like, and that didn't like that. But the baseline felt a little bit better and a little
Okay,
bit more
I don't
snappy,
think
and
this leg's
there's a
ever
little bit
gonna
more
die.
to it. Like for example, if you do a dodge and a left click, it does another. It's like a combination of buttons that you can press, and it does something else.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't know how useful all of those things will be at the very end, right?
Yeah.
But it felt a little bit better on that department. I wasn't a fan of the segmented open world stuff at all. I think graphically it was good. I thought the pay to win stuff was very weird, and also the gearing in general that kind of ties into the pay to win with these. I don't know what they were called. These icons or
The
spirits
plugins.
or like
Oh,
these weird. Yeah.
the Jesus, you're right. How did I forget the name? Chat, help me out here. Yeah, it was essentially your armor. That's what it was. Imagines. Thank you.
Imagines. Yeah.
Imagines. Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of that either. I thought
Okay.
that was really weird take. And obviously, since the game doesn't have PvP, I'm not as interested.
Sure.
How?
So, but
I
overall, I
was in
thought it was a
frontal
little bit
guard.
higher quality
I
game,
guess it doesn't
but
matter.
lacked a lot of like more to it. The end
Uh-oh.
game also looked weird. Like there was these weird arena modes where you'd go in, even the dungeons and the farming and everything felt a little. I mean, that's usual for Japanese games, in my opinion. It felt a little arcadey.
Okay.
And that's
Right. Yeah.
that's obviously subjective if you like that or not.
Sure.
But for me, it's not really that interesting in that sense.
I think for me, I think people are focusing on the wrong things when they talk about Blue Protocol, simply because most people haven't played the game.
How have I
And
not killed
and
this
if
leg
you've
yet?
played the game, and then
Like, that
you
is
start speaking a
crazy,
similar language.
dude.
You and I, if we're talking about, let's say, Lost Ark, even
I guess because I don't have the knowledge.
Desert, it's like you know that these are two individuals that are speaking and have substance because they've played the game, right? And I feel like the problem with Blue Protocol when it comes to content is content creators are just kind of milking the content, and they have nothing else to target other than the monetization, simply because they don't know much about the game. The reality, in my opinion, is that monetization, okay, outside of
Dude,
the
what?
monetization when it comes to
Hello?
pay to win specifically is not the problem.
What is going
with the
on?
game. It's actually not the problem at all. It's so like just small.
What is
Like,
hitting me?
like, and if you play the game, I'm not going to get into it too much here. We can do it maybe in another segment. But if you play the game, you'll understand. Like, it's so insignificant. The issue with Throne is far bigger, or it's not Throne. Sorry, Blue Protocol is far bigger than the pay to win systems in the game.
Yeah.
It's the lack of content. And like what you're saying, like the weird arena mode, I think TLDR, They've got a great game and graphic design. I even think the combat, to be perfectly honest, is actually pretty good. I personally enjoyed the combat, but they've got this shell that's pretty solid. But what's inside, the content design is simply not good. It's not good enough. Like you said, the arena thing is supposed to be their kind of like ranking competitive thing. If you do the arena thing, it's boring. Like it's not. It's just simply
Yeah.
not great. It's mediocre at best. Like you cannot tell me that you'll get 1,000 people to play it, and you're gonna get the majority of those players saying this is really fun. Like sure, you might get a lot of people will be like, yeah, it's okay, you know. But when the majority of the people are saying, yeah, it's okay, that's not good. You know what I mean? Like you want
Yeah.
you want some of your premier
Especially when
design.
it's new.
Exactly. When it's new, you want some of your content, your main content to be experienced in a way where your audience is like, this is really fun. People play Black Desert, and once you get all your skills, you're like, the combat is really fun. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Lost
Crazy.
Ark, whether you like it or not, you do the raids, you're like, the raids are good. You know what I mean? Like the majority will say the raids are good, and that's what you need. That's the standard. And Blue Protocol just does not have any
I agree with that.
of that at the end game. It just doesn't. It's just
And I
got
didn't
this
even
great
get to
show.
the end game, right? And
Yeah,
I
you
already
didn't.
felt
Yeah,
like that.
and you already right.
And you already had these checklist boards where you had the like almost like quests, like little tasks. Oh, you need to go to this area, you need to kill this and this,
Yeah,
and then you kind of progress these passes that you have,
yeah.
and they give you something. Like all of that felt also incredibly repetitive. Like after 5 hours of playing, I felt like I've done the same quest 10 times on 10 different passes,
Right.
and it's kind of even the
You talk about
rewards
the
didn't feel
boards.
super
Talk
satisfying.
about the boards, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
They did. To be fair to them, they did improve the boards quite a bit. So it is better, but yeah, I think I think the end game vertical progression or the main content is just not there. So like my thing was this: if that's not there, then what needs to be there is like the role play RP social
Yeah, it doesn't have that either, I
infrastructure,
feel
and it
like.
doesn't have that either. And then on top of that, the final pillar, which is the smallest pillar, would be like making your character look nice, right? When it comes to that part, that is where monetization is kind of bad. But like, I don't think that's as significant as pay to win, because pay to win is far more, significant. But like, in order for you to make your character look good, it's pay to win in that regard, because you're locked behind a gotcha system, which is very expensive. Which to the point where they actually reduce the prices. They acknowledge that it was too expensive. They reduced the prices on it. Free to play, you look garbage. Gotcha, you don't even look great with gotcha, to be honest. Even the skins that come with the gotcha is not that, you don't have that many options. They don't look that great, but it's insanely expensive. So even in that department, it's kind of an L. I just feel like they have way too much to work on that game. I just like, for me, every time I hear Blue Protocol talk, I'm just like, okay, like hold on. It's like pay to win, vertical progression, no, it's insignificant. Pay to win to look cool, yeah, very predatory, bad. Okay, bigger problem, zero content in the game. End game. That's my TLDR breakdown on it.
Like for me, for Throne, I just straight up dislike the game, right? And that's why I stopped playing. But for Blue Protocol, I felt like even halfway through the leveling, I felt burned out.
Really?
I felt okay. Yeah, I was like, okay, well, I mean, I'm doing the same thing again, but just in another zone.
Yeah.
I'm not really getting even new abilities anymore
Yeah.
because now I have all of them.
Yeah. I wonder
It's
if
like,
that was
okay.
before they made the changes. Because before, like when I first played with Stoops, I had the same criticism. I was the Nico, by the way. I was the Nico in that, because I was saying this grind to end game is terrible. I was like, it's too grindy, it's too slow, it's bad. And then of course Stoops was like, I don't know, man, I kind of enjoyed the journey, the racing.
Good old
I was
Stoops.
like, bro, this is bad. They sped it up
Jeez.
after, and it was significantly
That's
better.
so
I'm just
funny.
wondering if you played it during that time or if you played it after. I'm not really sure.
I think I played it when it launched, right? I
Okay.
played the beta and then when it actually launched as well.
Okay. So you didn't like it during launch, because launch was the fixed version, or a fixed up version?
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
Okay, okay.
I think the main thing for me was um, the dungeons also felt repetitive, so I wasn't really
Mhm.
looking forward to the dungeons. Like even doing the dungeon one time didn't feel good. Like maybe the
Why?
last boss was okay, but like everything else in it was like, ugh.
What? Like, elaborate on that.
Like you go into the dungeon. I remember this one
It just
where
wasn't fun.
you're like in a spaceship, and there's like a million different ads that have way too much health, and it's just chaos. Everyone is just attacking random shit. It takes 2 years to kill a single mob, and then after 20 minutes of going through slogs of mobs that don't do anything or give you anything, you get to a final boss that is somewhat interesting, and then you have to do it all
Mediocre
over
at
again.
best.
Yeah.
Mediocre at best. Okay, so Nico, you got banned. So let me just enlighten you here. The original end game, they've added some more dungeons and they raised the level cap. But the original end game, which would be our end game, by the way, when we get it, what would you do? What would you say if I told you the end game loop, the end game dungeons, was that same dungeon, but just scaled to level 50?
I would not play the game. I would quit.
Because that's what it is. That's what it was.
I already wanted to quit in the leveling when I did it the first time.
That's what I'm saying. Like the whole thing with the beta test was, okay, this dungeon, it's like, okay, you know what? For a level 10 dungeon, it's not bad. Okay, true.
I actually like the first dungeon more, the first few.
Yeah, and then you get to level 50, and you're like, what the fuck? It's the same dungeon, just scaled up. Like it's
terrible, man.
So it's like, okay, well, you're gonna have me grind this. How bad's the grind for like my alternate abilities? Like if there's like a skill tree, huge grind. And for the plugins, huge grind. So I gotta run this a lot. So I gotta run this monotonous dungeon that's not fun to do a lot. And then the question is, why am I running this again?
Yeah. What
because
for what?
there is no raid after that. That's it. To do that dungeon better.
Nice.
Like that's what it is. And I was like, and I'm just like thinking, there's no way that this feedback is not being given to Bandai. There's no way. There's no chance. There's like it just takes one person to be like, hey, there's nothing to do. Like once you hit the end game.
And even the things that you can do are not very fun.
Exactly. Like there's no, oh man, that was, I don't know. I'm actually planning on revisiting Blue Protocol and doing the new dungeons. I've seen them. It's the same shit, but you know, I'm gonna go and do it myself because I'm one of those guys that I have to like do it and then be critical of it. But anyways, Jesus, man. Moving on. Okay, this is gonna be the last game on our list. Terrace Land.
Honestly, I don't even know if we like have to talk about that one.
I don't even know what that game is.
I played it a little bit.
Paris
Land?
Land?
That was a beta or whatever.
Killer.
Yeah, it's definitely killing something. It's
Ooh,
my
that was close.
enthusiasm for the future of MMOs is what it's killing, if anything. Because that game, it was basically retail WoW, but like from a Happy Meal. You know, like the little plastic toys you get. That's basically what it was.
Bro, I didn't feel, outside of a few things, I didn't feel that much of a similarity to WoW. And what I mean by that is this, like, yeah, obviously, like the BGs, like queuing up for them in that design, and some of the ogres and some of like the assets in the game. Yeah, of course, yeah. I'm not saying that there were no similarities. But if like it did not feel like a copy paste game, is what I'm saying. It would have been better if it was. Like to be perfectly honest. To be perfectly honest, what did you think? Because like if I played that game and you told me nothing about its history and WoW, I'd have been like, oh yeah, like it looks like they've drawn a lot of inspiration from WoW, like a WoW.
The most direct similarity that I saw was like the dungeons, how they were set up with the damage meters and stuff. That was like, okay, yeah, this feels a lot like retail WoW.
Okay, right.
The rest of it, I mean, I didn't really get super far once again because I couldn't do it to myself anymore after
Right.
like 10 hours. I was like, there's no way I will ever look at this game ever again.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's
Chat. I want you guys to write. If for those of you who play TerraSland, don't write a rating if you haven't played. If you've played the game, 0 out of 10, what would you give it? 0 out of 10, what would you give it? And while chat writes that up there, up here, um, how many hours did you put into TerraSland? I don't blame you, by the way, for not being able to put up with it.
around maybe 10 if I'm generous.
Okay. Where did it lose you? At what
I
point
think
did it lose you?
I don't know if it ever had me. Like I don't think there was a single point where I was like, damn, that's really fun, or I'm looking forward to this, or it just felt like
I like the
the
art style.
same. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but I think graphically nowadays to be terrible is pretty hard to do.
Did you hear about the improvements that they were making? Apparently, they made improvements.
I didn't.
They have one of the improvements. I think is actually a big W, which is they ungender locked the classes, so there's no more gender lock. That's a
That's
W.
nice.
I don't really care about that personally.
But that's an objective W. I'll give them
I mean,
that.
it's obviously a positive. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I have no idea, but
Sure.
I heard they have made some changes, and there's like another beta test coming up. And yeah, I right now I'm not really sure if I want to cover it or not, but yeah,
I don't think. I mean, I don't know why anyone would even like what does it do better than another game?
Oh
what
my.
does it have to
V V V
do to
V.
get back on the map and
Hey,
to
I
win
Vid.
people over? Maybe
I
not
remembered
go
Vid.
too low, but like at least some
I
kind
don't
of
know what
mobile?
happened there.
go mobile.
Like honestly,
It kind of felt
I
mobile.
think that it felt mobile. Yeah, exactly. I think
Yeah.
that's the only audience that would
Wait, it
bear
is
with
mobile.
that.
It's cross-platform. It is
Or
cross-platform.
go full mobile or whatever. Go the full mobile route, right?
Yeah.
And just like as a PC player, I don't see a reason why you would ever even consider it,
Mm.
right? So just drop the PC part and just go full on the mobile part and just make it a mobile MMO.
Mm.
Which is not what they were intending, I don't think, because if they
Yeah.
were wanting to replace WoW in China, they're not hitting that mark at all.
Mm.
Yeah.
I thought it was wild. I thought it was completely wild how they were saying our game is completely non-pay to win.
That's also
Completely.
another thing. Yeah.
And they monetized their closed beta. Not only was there pay to win, but they were actually monetized. So what I do know is they said that the closed beta benefits card was not going to be in the game. Some people thought of that as a W, and in a lot of ways it is. Okay, sure, it's less pay to win. Maybe they probably removed it because of the complaints, right? But that means that you're talking about a group that said their game is pay to win, and they monetized progression in a beta test, in a closed
It wasn't
beta
pay to win,
test. Like, what? Who does that? Like, when I played the game, I was immediately hit by like 500% rebate, buy now and then you'll get these transferred on, like, I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, they are really trying to monetize this closed beta. How can you go out and say that your game is completely free to play or completely non-pay to win and come out with a beta test that is clearly trying to make money? Blew my mind.
It's baffling. The only other game that we probably like didn't mention it was the Blade and Soul thing, right?
Yeah, the Blade and Soul. Yeah. I think so. Blade and Soul, I think, is a game just because we're not 100% sure Neo's coming out, and I might have some news with Neo relatively soon. So I think we might. I think we should probably, because I feel like that could be a long conversation. So
Yeah.
I think maybe we save that for another podcast because we have already gone over the hour mark, and I really want to try and keep these like under an hour. So I think we'll call it here for today. just to keep these short. I don't want the YouTube video to say like an hour and 30 minutes. You know what I mean? I want to try and keep it short. It goes by quick.
Hey guys,
man.
next time we have a 10-hour podcast just talking about one single game because that's how long we could do it.
We could.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But yeah, we'll call it here. Do you have any closing thoughts or comments you want to make, Nico?
Stop being always supporting of every shit game. Okay, give them some good critique, guys, so we get good games, please. Thank you.
Nico, I'd love to see the day where you actually support a fighter. Hold on.
I support. Hey, if a game is good, I'm all in, man.
All right.
I have my chips right here.
So let's fair. So we'll round this video out with this. Name one. Name
one what?
Name me one
What?
good MMO that you
Right now?
that you support. That you support.
Right now in
Right
2024.
now, in
What
2024.
an MMO you should play?
You heard it here. You heard it here. And with that, don't forget to like and subscribe. That's crazy, Nico. I can't really?
Yeah.
No. Holy shit.
I just said that.
I'm gonna use that as the intro, bro. I'm gonna use that as the intro. Okay, holy shit. Oh, this video is gonna pop off. Like and subscribe. You can find Nico's personal socials in the description. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let us know what games you guys would like us to cover. We are moving forward. We are gonna be talking about individual games for each episode. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Good video. It's a really good video. Definitely very interesting. That's for sure. It's just too bad you can't take all the MMOs and take all the good parts out of all the MMOs and put them into one good game. Okay, let's start the next one here.
I talked to Ghostcrawler about this. I think I might actually reach out to them and do another follow up on the game, maybe like a little update. I'm not entirely sold on the blue shard, red shard. For those of you who don't know or who are not really familiar with Ghostcrawler's new MMO, the world is essentially structured into like two different shards. You have blue shards and red shards. Red shard is what we know as like the open world. Blue shards are kind of almost like those, you know, those survival games where you're kind of in your own mini world and then you kind of build up and you can kind of set your own rules within that game. That's the blue shards. And you're going to be jumping back and forth from like blue shards and red shards in this game. And I just don't know how that's going to work. I think it's a very ambitious system. Sure, you're trying something new. It's ambitious. Maybe it will really work. And I don't know, maybe even set a trend for future MMOs. But on paper, that idea just, I don't know, man. It doesn't, I'm not entirely sold.
Such as playing with friends and building a community, as MMOs have moved too far towards solo adventure.
Have they been doing a monthly pod? Oh yeah, they have been. Yeah, I need to check that out. Who forced you to play BNS? Nobody, dude. Yasin, nobody. I'm excited to play. Like, okay, listen. The thing about BNS is that Blade and Soul is a game that everyone agrees has good potential. What I like about BNS is that the combat is fucking amazing. It's got the aesthetics that I like in an MMO, the character design and whatnot. The classes itself are very well designed, in my opinion. Like, I think they're fucking fantastic. Okay, it's got these three things, and those are very important pillars to a game for me. And what killed this game, from my understanding, is monetization. And at the end of the day, I have spoken with their current team, and it's a new team that's trying to change the direction of the game. And they're trying to change the direction of the game with the lot with Neo with the new Neo server, or the new classic Neo version that's coming out, as well as the live version. So I want to check it out, man. I just want to check it out, see if it's gotten better, see what it's like right now, and see what Neo's gonna be like. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Entering. One of the peculiarities of Ghost will be its shards system, where the player will alternate.
This is the third day I've seen you in the Blade and Soul. I haven't seen you play. Well, I played it yesterday. What do you mean? I just started my stream. I like to just do some reacts, and today I was eating my dinner before. So we're gonna finish watching this video, and then we're gonna hop into the game.
Between private realms called blue shards, which will have a similar experience to games such as V Rising, and public red shards, which will have a more traditional MMORPG experience. Work on Ghost has just started, but Ghost Crawler mentioned in an interview with Canon that the development of the game is moving really fast, and that he doesn't want to be working on the game 10 years from now. I'll be real with you, I don't think we'll see this game before 2028, but at least we know where to put all of our cope if
We made it, boys!
Dude,
we made it.
Get out of here.
With you guys, I have really worked my ass off post Lost Ark to try and establish myself as an MMORPG content creator, not a Lost Ark guy.
What is going on?
Here's an example. Benji, Albert, ATK, these guys, love them, right? Good friends of mine. But from a professional perspective, if you talk about these guys anywhere outside of Lost Ark, they're either not going to know who they are, or they're going to know that they are Lost Ark guys. Now, I feel like I've been able to separate myself from that, and people just look at me as an MMO guy that may have started from Lost Ark. And I'm pretty proud of that. I'm pretty proud of that. I'm going to continue to work hard in that regard.
Ashes of Creation and the Riot's MMO Crash and Burn.
For other MMOs, not LA.
Chrono Odyssey is a Korean open world MMO.
Chrono Odyssey, man, this game, it's one of those games that look great, right? I hope this isn't a Throne and Liberty angle. Throne and Liberty angle meaning like original, right? Like original.
It does look really good. That game does look really good.
Great. Little sus, but we thought overall looks pretty cool. And then when it first came out, the final build came out, not the actual launch, because the launch build was so much better. But when the original build came out, we're like, what the fuck is this? You remember? Chrono Odyssey, for whatever reason, this is just 100% just a gut feeling. For whatever reason, I feel like Chrono Odyssey is going to be ass. I hope I'm wrong, because this is my type of aesthetic. This is going to,
it does look pretty cool.
It's going to reach out to like the BDO guys.
Yep.
It's going to reach out to the Western crowd that is interested in partaking in some Korean, because some Korean MMOs, like ain't nobody in the West gonna be playing fucking Maple Story and shit. You know what I'm saying? This is a game, aesthetically, this is like something that Western players would play, Eastern players would play. Sure, it looks great, but actually I feel like maybe a little bit less Eastern, but I don't know. I just for whatever reason, I just feel like this game, I got a bad feeling about this game.
MMORPG
for no reason, but I just
do. Available on both PC and console. This
looks
game
great
looks
though.
Absolutely stunning.
It
and
does.
The recent gameplay trailer is quite promising. It includes
Yellow.
I joined because it made it easier to find your stream again.
What up?
What up? There we go.
Oh. Yeah, I'm Hi. What's up? Yeah, just doing another hour here. I died again. Lost a crystal this time. Lost a 1 billion crystal. You're high. Yeah, pretty much. High on not sleeping. I need to drop my loot off here real quick. Really not a good hour, honestly. Sleep dip is the absolute best kind. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how Styx does it. Getting only like 2 or 3 hours of sleep a day. I would be absolutely dead. Ain't no way. Put this back on here.
Classic fantasy RPG classes such as Archer, Warrior, Berserker, and Mage, but it also introduces guns, hammers, and as the game.
Lots of people play MapleStory in the West, not in comparison to the East, but what
Never
I
played
meant
MapleStory.
in regards to that was more so like you take MapleStory, okay, and you ask all the Westerners, or even specifically MMORPG Westerners, what they think about it versus Easterners, and I feel like the dislike category will be higher amongst the Western MMORPGers compared to the Eastern MMORPGers.
Game's name implies various time-bending
I am aware that people obviously
Chrono
still
Odyssey
play
kind of gives me BDO
in the
vibes with
West.
its graphics, epic-looking combat, and giant monsters, but beyond that, the details are scarce. The most optimistic expectation would be a release in late 2024, but realistically, probably 2025 and beyond.
Okay, I'm not gonna actually argue with you on that one, Plump. Western MMORPGers don't know shit. Just because there is clearly a divide with games, and a game that I would like to see do better, that is popular, that is absolutely more popular in the East than in the West, is Dungeon Fighter Online. And that's a game that I kind of want to dip my toes in. I legit kind of want to play some Dungeon Fighter, man.
Throne and Liberty recently released in Korea
Maybe
in
we do.
December 2023 and is scheduled for a 2024 release in the West, published by Amazon Game Studios. Before the official release, the game underwent a significant combat revamp in response to negative feedback from the closed beta tests. The updated
We know a
version
thing or
of the
two
game
about
no longer includes autoplay,
Throne of Liberty,
features
boys.
a more dynamic combat system, and
We
takes
do.
a more traditional approach to MMO
Should probably
features.
move this here,
It's
yeah?
basically like a modern version of
Sorry,
Lineage
guys.
2. To the surprise of absolutely no one, the game is obviously pay to win, and will likely see a Western release in the first half of 2024 on PC, followed by a console release in the near future on both Xbox and PS5. Check out my latest video if you want to see my first impressions on the game and what you can expect for the Western release. Path of Exile 2. Not really an MMORPG,
not
but
an
I know
MMO
all
at
my
all.
MMO friends will be playing this game as soon as
Sure.
it comes out.
This is a game that I've been thinking, do I cover more ARPGs? Do I spend more time doing ARPGs so that I can kind of get ready for Path of Exile 2? I'm also kind of curious as to how Path of Exile 2's beta test is going to line up with Ash's Alpha 2. For me, as an MMO content creator, if there is an overlap there, I have to do Ashes. I have to. Like, from a professional perspective, I have to do Ashes. From a personal perspective, I think Path of Exile 2 beta, I think as a game for what they are, pound for pound respectively, I think PoE 2 is going to be way better. I'm not 100% sold on Ashes yet as a game. However, Ashes is clearly more my style. Is absolutely more my style of game because number one, I'm an MMO guy. Number two, I love sandbox MMOs. My favorite MMO of all time is vanilla Arcade, and Ashes is essentially the successor to vanilla Arcade.
To play next-gen ARPG that promises to outdo its very successful prequel, as well as offer a much more in-depth gameplay experience to competitor Diablo 4, which released in 2023. Earlier in the year, Grinding Gear Games released a new gameplay trailer for PoE 2 and an announcement for the first closed beta, which begins June 7th, 2024.
Is WoW huge in the East? No, it's not. It's extremely niche.
Even though this isn't an MMO, definitely keep an eye out for this one, as I'm sure you'll like it. Arcade 2 is not the name
Here
for
it
the
is.
next...
Arcade 2. It's gonna be pay to win. I would bet against
I end
this
up going
game
more of a
being
solo game
success.
too.
Doesn't change the fact that it's probably on my top 3. It's probably all it. Yeah, I would say top 3. It's top 3 on my list on MMOs that I'm looking forward to playing, that I'm excited about. Just because of my experience with vanilla Arcade, man. I know it can be terrible. Like, I really hope they don't go the route with Arcade Unchained. Man, Arcade Unchained, talk about a shitty fucking game. Like, talk about taking a masterpiece of a game content-wise. I'm not even talking about monetization, just content-wise. A masterpiece of a game and turning it into complete dog shit. Complete dog shit. I mean, you had a system where your progression was directly tied to whatever you wanted to do. You could literally be a pirate. You could run trade packs. You can play Farmville. You can grind, whatever. And then that turned into Reset Raid Age. Fucking terrible, dude. So bad. Awful.
Fresh start server of Arcade, but the sequel itself to the acclaimed yet controversial MMORPG. Arcade 2 takes a bold new
Jessica,
direction
you looking
from its
for
predecessor
group, are you?
by moving away from large-scale faction-based PvP. This shift apparently reflects the Western market's preference for action-packed single-player console games.
I would love to get an interview with people over at Ashes, but I don't know. Maybe I could reach out. But I don't know what I would talk to them about that's exclusive, you know? They're like, Ashes has been very transparent with what they're doing. So I don't know. I don't know what I could provide.
Games. The primary focus for progression in Arcade 2 will now be on single-player content, while still trying to maintain...
I don't know about you guys. How many of you pronounced it haram? I pronounced it haram, and I just got a kick out of it every time. All like
the core elements that Arcade was known for, such
Hiram?
as trading.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I called it haram.
Games is apparently looking at Gamescom 2024 for a gameplay reveal of Arcade 2, so I think we can assume a 2025 release for this one. Regardless, this is another Unreal Engine 5 MMO that I'll personally be very excited in trying out. Perfect New World is a game made in Unity.
I heard this is so bad.
Out of the blue.
This game looks so good. Just like in the trailers and shit, but
which game?
Months ago,
I heard it
seems to
awful.
Be pretty far ahead in its development cycle.
No, I heard it's terrible.
Various beta footage. Perfect New World has a hybrid
Perfect New World.
Look at this. This looks pretty cool, right? But I heard it's actually awful.
And has a mix of PvP and PvE content. The general feedback I saw from this game's playable tests were somewhat mixed, but the game does look really nice.
One thing that Asians do well, man, just do the character design. I don't know, man. Even this, in my opinion, looks way better than like all the shit that you see in WoW, man. I don't know. That's just me. Probably biased. I know. I get it. I've got yellow skin myself, but.
And it's still in development, so there's time to improve.
Give me a Western MMO with Eastern MMO aesthetics. That's all I'm asking.
That'd be cool. And action combat.
MMO content progression wise, but with Eastern character looks, Eastern combat.
expect a full release for this one.
That's what I
sometime in
want, man.
2024.
That's all I'm asking for.
Well, I
Cyberpunk
like
is
the
quite a
grindiness
unique
though. I like
MMORPG as
the
it tries to bridge the gap
the
between
sandbox
MOBA and
grindiness
BDO, with
aspect.
top-down gameplay and
Like I'd be
fun.
okay with like a
It serves
WoW
as a way to
like
incentivize
aspect, but have
exploration in
BDO
open
I heard
elements
this was also another game that
into
just
it, like the
sucked.
grinding, right? Just
Welcome back. What's
kind
up,
of have a
Saint? Yeah,
combination of everything.
I heard this is so bad.
world. Besides the MOBA-like combat system, you still have your classic MMORPG systems like gathering, crafting, quests, randomly generated dungeons, and raids. The game had a beta test fairly recently. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to play it, but next beta test I'll jump in and make a first impressions video.
Okay.
So far, Core Punk is looking highly likely to release.
Who are you talking to? Am I missing something?
2024.
No, I'm just talking to myself.
Do you like Warframe but wish it had slower, more deliberate gameplay and was set in a more grounded fantasy world? Well, good news.
Oh gosh.
Warframe is being developed by Digital Extremes and will be a
Talking to
powerful
myself
game to
on this
play through,
video. Can you not hear the
offering
video that's
similar
playing?
gameplay features but with a different aesthetic and theme. There's no date for this one, but the devs are releasing development updates.
Not gonna lie, I'd never actually
No.
For late 2024.
Oh my gosh, dude.
With over $500 million,
No, it's
Star
not an
Citizen
MMO,
is the
okay.
most ambitious game ever. And whilst after a decade in development, we still have no full release date.
Bro, I've been
did
hearing about
finally
Star
get an
Citizen.
Did I
like,
just
is
restore
this,
that?
Is this a scam? I've
Oh
been
my
hearing about
gosh, dude.
Star Citizen.
No, ain't no
since,
way.
Like I was out the womb, bro. Like what's happening here?
Oof.
gameplay trailer for
Oof.
The only reason why I don't know too many details is because I'm just not into sci-fi.
Shoot, I hear it
space
distant
shit.
rather than stream.
What's that game? It's like a masterpiece of a game to this day. It's a space MMO. What is that called again? Oh my gosh. Fuck, help me out, chat. What is it? You guys know. Eve. That's it. Yeah, Eve. This is the reason why I can't get into Eve. A lot of people tell me, content-wise, Eve would be right up my alley because, again, I fucking love sandbox MMOs, but I can't do space.
Oh.
The spiciest I could get is WildStar. That's the spaciest I.
This might be my last hour. I don't know if I can do any more hours at the spot.
I was okay with WildStar.
Earlier in 2023. Star Citizen has been playable.
How's the Twitch situation in Korea? Okay, so that's not relevant to what we're doing here, just in case I upload this to YouTube. But just to quickly answer that, Twitch did leave Korea, but they're like loopholes. TLDR, I'm an American. Well, first of all, I'm American, just so you know. You might not know that, but I'm American. And I'm onboarded as an American Twitch partner. And if you're onboarded as an American Twitch partner or a non-Korean, then
why do you
can
die?
stream from Korea.
I don't know. It's a good question. It's just it's just
Why you could BDO? I don't like to think of myself as.
I probably don't really have the necessary DP to be here, but even then, like
One thing's for certain though, if Star Citizen ever does release, it will probably
I think I've died 6 times here so far.
Yeah, just a break.
As for an estimated
Gosh, dude.
I have no idea. Terraceland is a cross-platform PC
Arcade music.
MMORPG made by Tencent.
I think it's just these mechanics. Like, if you get hit by the red, you pretty much die.
Tencent or with Chinese? Why?
After looking into this game, I think it could actually be
Yeah, who does?
I had no idea.
Yeah,
how
I
big
mean,
Tencent was until I was actually in China. Tencent is crazy huge.
I think the issue it's just the mechanics. Like, even if you have like the most DP, like you can still get one shot pretty easily.
MMOs that I had played overall, that I had tested in recent years, like pure. I'm just 100% honest here. Okay, full transparency. I actually like the graphics to the game,
but
I actually don't mind this.
Yeah, I don't know.
If anything, I feel like aesthetically,
I don't know if I'm gonna do any more hours after this hour with this spot. Like, I've died so many freaking times. It's ridiculous.
On World of Warcraft's
6
I
times.
guess. I didn't mind it. Honestly, I really didn't. But everything in this game just screamed lack of polish. Just like really poorly polished.
Hey, I mean, you can't say that this game's easy. That's for sure. And like the grinding is
I did not like how the world felt.
easy.
I don't know, man. I think my agency has told me that they've reached out for me to do an updated review because I do have a review video on my channel. if you are curious, you can check out my channel. I've got a you could search Terraceland on my channel. I have a review that I did on it, and also the monetization. Right. What rubbed me the wrong way the most was what they said with monetization. The fact that they said
Gosh,
that
need to be
they
back over
were
here.
strong against pay to win, absolutely zero pay to win, like none, truly free to play, and it was anything but that. And then they actually went back and deleted some of what they said prior in regards to it. That was like what rubbed me the wrong way, and a lot of people in their community the wrong way, because that's what happened. Bro, they were monetizing their fucking closed beta. Like, what more can you say? Bro, like, what? Like,
That's kind of nuts.
One thing to go pay to win on your game, but you're gonna actually monetize your
Your
closed
beta. Yeah, it's kind of
What do I
nuts.
mean by that? They literally had a pass that you could pay for to that essentially gave you sped up progression and gave you currency. Specifically for the closed beta.
That's wild.
That shit would be
for
given
a closed
during
beta.
a fucking closed beta test. You could literally buy currency and pay to win in the beta test that they said this is for beta. And they're like, this will also, like, credit for this will also, bro, it's like one of those Asian fucking top-up games. You top up this much and you're going to get this amount, you're going to get like this amount of credit applied to your live service account. So top up, bro, it was like top up now. We're giving like special deals, special rates in the closed beta, and you're going to take these benefits, or not the benefits directly, but you're gonna have the credit that's purchased here transfer over to your account during the live service. I'm like, not only are you monetizing the closed beta, you're actually incentivizing it. Yeah, like fucking 800% value shit. I'm like, how are you gonna sit there? And to be honest, guys, I play pay to win games, right? I play pay to win games. You know, games like NCSoft Throne and Liberty, they never said that they were not going to sell a premium currency. They never said that it was going to be not pay to win, you know? And we expected it was, and it is, and the gaps are moderate. So, okay, cool. Transparency there. Issue that I had with Terraceland was they were like, absolutely no pay to win, zero, none. And then the fucking beta test is like that, dude. I don't know. They said they've changed a lot. If they can strike a deal through my agency, I'll check it out as I check out all MMOs. But Terraceland was so bad to the point where there's no way I was going to recover the game at its launch. That's how bad it was for me. That's how bad it was for me. So we'll see.
From the get-go,
If they, like I said, if they can strike a deal with my agency, and if it's worth my fucking time, and I am allowed to, because this would absolutely be my stipulation, be able to give my, honest take on it, then sure, I'm happy to revisit the game.
the game assured players that it would be a zero pay-to-win MMO. But during the CBT,
I don't know if I will,
had a
Plasma,
number of
I'm not
systems
sure.
where players could basically buy power in a similar way to games like Lost Ark and
Maybe.
World of Warcraft. Weirdly,
Depends on the
the devs
time.
also removed mentions of non-pay-to-win from their marketing and description of the game during this time.
Yeah.
However, since then, following backlash
Yeah, I like the
from
look of the
player base,
characters. Look,
they've
I
never
actually
seemingly
like that. If I played World of Warcraft, I would rather have World of Warcraft have these characteristics.
back to their
actually looks good.
non-pay-to-win vision.
Oh,
Stating
gosh.
in a recent dev update that the pay-to-win stuff wouldn't be a thing for the full release, it was just for the CBT. Make of that what you will.
Yeah, there you go. There's the closed beta test card that I was telling you guys about, right? Think about this. They're sitting there saying that their game is non-pay to win. Their fucking closed beta was pay to win. Like, what the fuck? Who the hell makes a closed beta test pay to win? That is literally the one thing that you can expect to not be pay to win even for an NC Soft game, you can expect at least the closed beta test to not be pay to win, right? It might, bro. It's a fuck. How can you fucking trust that? I've never seen that before in my life, man. Fucking monetizing closed beta. Oh my
Holy
god.
The game will have a
cow.
seamless open world and a
Like,
traditional
holy
tab
shit,
target
bro.
combat system, as well as being accessible on a global server for both PC and mobile platforms. On top of that, the devs recently removed the game's gender lock after receiving feedback
Okay,
from a
that's good,
closed
that's
beta,
good.
which I think is very unusual for Eastern devs, but will likely
True.
be appreciated by most
Yeah,
players.
that's good. Yeah, that's
As
a
for
W.
features, it looks
That's
like
a
they're
small
going for
W.
a classic-themed WoW-inspired MMO with raids, multiple classes and builds, and a vast open world. As for the release date, Tarisland will launch in Q1 2024. The Quinfall is an upcoming MMORPG
soon, by
that
the
makes
way.
the ambitious claim to bring us the largest
That's actually really soon.
open world we have ever seen. In Quinfall, your class
Here,
will be
I
decided
heard
by
about
the
this. Oh, boy,
combination
boy.
of weapons you equip. You'll be able to have your own shop in the world, play mini-games and board games in taverns with other players,
Bro, the best card game to this day, in my opinion, is the card game in Final Fantasy VIII. What was that called again?
explore secret dungeons filled with puzzles, gather, craft,
Yeah, I heard
fish,
about the
and pretty
recycled
much do
assets,
everything
man.
your heart desires. This is a big promise, and it's possible that Quinfall is attempting too
How many
much.
times have you heard that in an MMO? You could do whatever your heart desires.
Is it?
Suck
Which
my
doesn't
balls,
always
bro.
turn out very well.
That's
The game's
the
release
only game that I would say that was actually true for that I've played, probably Vanilla Arcade.
was set to be on January 20th.
I think there's definitely a couple other games that I'm not thinking about, but what I can remember is Vanilla
Arcade
Arcade.
very recently to coming soon, instead launching a closed beta test on January 30th
Well,
instead. I've not had the chance to play the beta personally, and I'm extremely skeptical that this dev team has managed to pull off such an ambitious project in such a short space of time, but based on some of the footage I've seen of the game on YouTube, the Quinfall does seem to be somewhat playable, so it's already surpassed my expectations because
old school
I
RuneScape
genuinely
music?
thought it was a scam. Whether it's a good game or not, I'll let you know in a first impressions video soon when I get to play it. Blue Protocol is an upcoming free-to-play anime MMORPG that was released this year in Japan and is set to release in the West in 2024, published by AGS. The game had a bit of a bumpy release in Japan, but I can see that the game could be fairly successful in the West, as the game will be somewhat similar to Genshin, but with more MMO elements.
No, this game needs two things. It needs one of two things to be successful in the West. Here it is. You ready, chat? Believe me, I'm not talking out of my ass when it comes to Blue Protocol. Out of all the fucking content creators out there, Staparu and I are the two fucking content creators that have actually put in a significant amount of time and reached end game content. Here it is. You ready? It's this simple. This game needs to add either a lot of social content at the end game or meaningful vertical progression content. Fuck it. Even horizontal content like how Guild Wars 2 does it. Whatever. You just need to have meaningful end game content, whether they're going to focus on the social elements like how Final Fantasy 14 has, or having game design that can facilitate that, or having end game content like dungeons and raids that people want to actually participate in, giving purpose to the vertical progression they have. If you don't want to have vertical progression, you want to take more of a Guild Wars 2 approach, fine. You still need good fucking dungeons and raids at the end of the game, at the end game. You don't have that in Blue Protocol. You don't. There's literally no end game content. People are surprised. Hey, why is it not doing well in Japan? Well, because fuck, there's nothing to do at the end game. You hit max level and the game becomes pointless to play. That's the issue. That's the issue.
As for an actual
It's as
Western
simple as
release
that.
date, I think we could expect
No,
If there's no
dude.
end game content, then
Oh
you
my
need some kind of
gosh.
game design that will
7.
allow
Died
players
7
to
times.
fucking RP, socialize, whatever that may be. Like Final Fantasy 14 does that well. That's what it is. If you don't have that in your game, then you better give the player something to do with dungeons and raids and shit, because the dungeons that are at the end game, they're not good. They're not fun.
Oh my
They're not
gosh.
good enough to to want to continue to log in every day for, and there needs to be purpose behind it.
Perhaps with some beta tests before that. Dune Awakening is an open-world survival MMO set in the Dune universe and developed by Funcom, the creators of Conan Exiles. Like many survival games, Dune Awakening will include elements such as gathering, exploring, and hunting.
I'm not the chat. Let me know what you guys think. I'm personally not the biggest fan of like book/movie titles becoming MMOs. There was that one game.
Oh goodness.
Fuck, there was one game. It was like a TV show/movie, and it was a MMO, and it was like a one-word name. I think it started with the letter D. Defiance. Thank you.
However, it places extra emphasis on the social interaction among players in a persistent world. The game recently announced the first beta tests, and you can sign up for it on the official website.
In follow channels, it says CanonXO plays Blade and Soul. Click into the stream. It says Lost Ark, and he actually looks at other games. Never let them know your next move. Dude, have you seen those videos where it's like never let them know your next move? And like the dude just does the most random fucking shit. Like you think he's gonna like pick something off the ground, but he does something completely random. But then when he does that random thing, he actually does a different random thing, and it just triggers you as you're watching because like
Jeez,
you're like,
I'm start again.
Yo, I fucking love those videos,
Devs
man.
mentioned that the game is at a stage where player feedback would be valuable.
Never let them know your next move.
I anticipate a release in 2024 for this one, potentially around Q4. Project LLL represents NCSoft's venture into third-person MMO shooters, unfolding in an alternate reality.
Is this really an MMO though? I'm sick of these third-person shooters that are like, oh, MMO, and it's not. You know, like Destiny 2 is like the closest thing to an MMO.
3D map, drawing inspiration from Philip K. Dick's novels. The game offers a fully explorable open world, dynamic events, and the inclusion of mechs. Development appears to be well underway with a probable release in 2024 on both PC and console. Profane presents itself as an authentic player-driven sandbox MMO set in a traditional fantasy environment. You can explore a dynamic world that responds to your actions, engage in open-world PvP,
what is happening here?
Houses, and experience skill-based.
Is this sandbox MMO? Or is this like
Profane
survival
had
game?
multiple tests in 2023.
I've literally never heard of this game.
Version of the game at this year's Brazil game
This
show.
looks so shit, but it
Based
actually
on the
looks
progress
fun.
shown so far, I think the game will be released in either late 2024 or 2025.
This looks bad, but looks fucking fun for whatever reason.
Fate is a Viking-themed open-world indie MMORPG.
You know what? For like Chrono Odyssey, I'm just like, bro, this looks amazing, but I have a feeling it's gonna be shit. That game, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, yo, this looks shit, but it actually kind of looks fun.
Choose from 5 distinct classes: Warrior, Necromancer, Mage, Pirate, and Priest. The game has fairly nice graphics and adopts a Souls-style action combat system. It features a crafting and gathering system, quests, and various monsters such as zombies, demons, and giants, and has been receiving small but steady improvements, with it likely to enter early access on Steam in 2024.
RuneScape's got some pretty good music.
Doki V is a creature collecting open world MMO.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. These types of games don't really interest me.
Nope.
But if I'm ever gonna play one, it's gonna be Doki V. Just because the world looks so fucking good and the combat actually looks really fun, I can low-key kind of like it's conceptually not my style, but I can kind of see myself having fun with this game.
Developed and published by Pearl Abyss.
I
This
don't
game
like
was
running
initially
around like I don't.
All right. Well, that was interesting. Needless to say, I've died 7 times at this spot. Whew. Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, on that note, YouTube, I am going to end the stream there for the night. Just doing the 1 hour grind there. Probably going to be my last hour at this area because I just keep dying. So always fun. But yeah, thanks for joining me. I hope y'all have a good night and peace out.